Lawmakers who shoulder the responsibility of identifying and assessing the strengths and loopholes in the budget have continued to engage in blame games at the House of Representatives instead of making the discussions productive. Meanwhile, lower house members of the Madhya province have expressed their frustrations over the Supreme Court verdict to stop the construction of Nijgat Airport and have called for a review of the verdict. Good morning, I'm Sapsanamma, and these are the headlines of the hour. Political parties gear up for parliamentary and provincial elections. CPN Maoist Centre Chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal warns Nepali Congress not to take the party for granted. Lawmakers term the budget for next fiscal discriminatory for ignoring Madhya province, criticize inadequate allocation for economic hub Birganj and coastal highway. Another mass shooting reported in the US with 4 people, including the shooter, dead in Oklahoma medical building. And Ukraine stuns Scotland 3-1 in World Cup qualifier to give the war-torn country a morale boost. The country just 1 win away from qualifying for the Qatar World Cup later this year. With discussions about the recently concluded local-level election yet to settle down, political parties have begun discussions for the election of House of Representatives and provincial assemblies. Discussions on the lower house and provincial assemblies have begun as their current term is set to expire in 6 months' time. Ruling coalition and main opposition parties appear in favor of timely holding of the elections and have begun legwork for possible alliances as well. Despite the 5-party ruling alliance prepared for holding polls in 6 months' time, an official decision remains to be taken. Largest party of the alliance, Nepali Congress, seems enthused with its result in the local-level election and therefore is in favor of sustaining the coalition. The party seems to believe that it would suffer massively if the election is delayed, which could lead to the split of the alliance. Second largest party of the coalition, CPN Maoist Centre, is also in favor of timely holding of the election. However, the party has been vocal about its grievances with Nepali Congress for inadequate support in the local election. The CPN Maoist Centre therefore seems to have opened doors for forming an alliance which would benefit it the most. Meanwhile, main opposition CPN UML is in favor of holding the provincial and parliamentary elections as provisioned by the Constitution. The party is to assess its performance at the local election and then formulate further strategies for the upcoming elections. CPN Maoist Centre Chairperson Pushpa Kamal Dahal has expressed his commitment to sustain the ruling coalition but has urged the alliance leader Nepali Congress not to take Maoist Centre for granted. Addressing a program organized to empower and train the party's newly elected public representatives from the recently concluded local-level elections, Dahal warned Nepali Congress not to follow CPN UML in considering themselves the most powerful political entity. Saying that sustaining the ruling alliance was important for the greater good, Dahal, however, questioned honesty among the coalition partners and identified the need for addressing the loopholes for coming elections. Dahal also spent some of his time airing sarcastic remarks towards CPN UML chairperson KP Sharma Oli. Dahal claimed that Oli was not happy or satisfied with UML's performance at the local polls. He further went on to add that UML leaders were afraid of the ruling coalition being sustained further. Moving on, allegations between the parliamentarians of the ruling and opposition parties continued yesterday during the deliberations on the budget for the coming fiscal year. Lawmakers, instead of identifying the strengths and loopholes in the budget presented by the government at the lower house on Sunday, have continued making allegations against one another. Lawmakers of the ruling coalition have defended the budget, while those of the opposition have identified obstacles in ensuring its implementation. Lawmakers of the ruling parties have said that the budget has included all sectors, while the opposition members have expressed their doubts over its success. Meanwhile, the lawmakers of ruling parties have stressed on proceeding by identifying new avenues for economic development. Parliamentarians of Madhya province have termed the Supreme Court verdict to stop the construction works of Nijgat International Airport against Madhya and have demanded for amendment of the same. Addressing yesterday's session of the lower house, lawmakers of Madhya province have raised their voices against the decision of the apex court to scrap all previous decisions made by the government related to Nijgat International Airport. They have urged the Supreme Court to revise its verdict. Meanwhile, lawmakers of Madhya province also called the postal highway the lifeline of the province and expressed their grievances over lack of adequate attention towards the project in the budget for the coming fiscal year. Furthermore, they have also drawn the attention of Finance Minister for inadequate budget allocation for Birganj, the city seen as an economic hub of the country. The government decision of 2 days holiday in a week to curb consumption of petroleum products and increase foreign reserve has increased the pile of cases and workload at the Supreme Court. In addition to that, foreign trips of justices and a vacant position has severely affected the court proceedings. More than 33,000 cases have remained stranded at the Supreme Court. With the 5-work-day plan further delaying the court proceedings, preparations are underway to hold hearings at the Supreme Court on Sundays as well. A committee has begun discussions with stakeholders to study the possibility of holding 4 benches on Sundays to ease the management of the cases. On average, around 11,000 new cases are registered at the Supreme Court every year. Considering the workload, one bench has the pressure of looking at around 3,300 cases, meaning one bench has to conclude at least 15 to 20 cases every day, which is not realistic or practical. Including a Chief Justice, there is a provision for 21 justices at the Supreme Court. With the Chief Justice currently suspended, positions of 2 justices vacant and a few justices visiting abroad on a regular basis, the proceedings of the Supreme Court have lost pace. The pressure of stranded cases coupled with new cases is likely to increase if the resources and capacities of the courts are not enhanced. Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, what should be done to expedite court proceedings? Your options are A. Add more benches, B. Increase justices, and C. Fast-track mechanism. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Now, in our Public Voice segment, today we've asked people in several provinces what should be done to make the role of local communities in forest management more effective. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
हामी आफै पनि जागरुक भएर
जनताहरू सक्रिय भएर तालिमको अति आवश्यक हुन्छ।
नयाँ रुखलाई लगाउनु पर्यो। आगलागी सबैबाट बचाउनु पर्छ।
वन तस्करीमा ध्यान दिनु पर्यो।
It's time now for the sports update. Equality is the foundation of sports. In order to maintain avoiding discrimination in the sector, events such as Paralympics and Asian Para Games are held for people with disabilities. However, despite a few para-sporting events in the country, expected results are yet to be achieved. Several categories have been included in the valley-wide athletics under the National Para Games. Despite their physical disabilities, the para-athletes are enthused and have grown in confidence from the event. A total of 12 categories, including athletics, wheelchair basketball and amputee football, have been featured in the Para Games. These events have given a beautiful and unique hope to people with disabilities to live their life. However, the absence of regular para tournaments means Nepal has not been able to achieve expected success in international para events. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.